Hello, everybody, and welcome to this reflection on the DC cinematic universe so far, with myself and Harry Thomas. All right, that was your cue to say hi, Harry.
Hey,
But never mind.
everybody. Sorry I'm late.
And we're gonna. That's perfectly all right. Um, we're going to be reflecting on all five. Is it five movies in the DCU? Or is it
That's
six?
correct.
Five, yeah. There's Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, uh,
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and Justice League. Sorry, I'm trying to remember all the films. And he is a massive DC fan.
Yep.
I am, of course, going to Harry start first, with a feeling this is going to be a very divisive, other than perhaps Wonder Woman. So, Harry, off.
I shall indeed, Ollie. I disagree with you once, but Man of Steel is my personal favorite Superman movie, and it is a underrated masterpiece. I don't get the sheer hate for this movie. I just
do.
don't. Oh, oh, that's okay. But yeah, I do understand. That's okay. But as for my brief thoughts on the previous Superman adaptations, I mean, Superman 1 and 2 are classics, of course, but Superman 3 was Superman 3 sucked, and Superman 4 Superman 4, no wonder nobody mentions that shitty movie. That was one of the worst pieces of fucking shit I have sat through in my entire life.
The Quest for Piss.
Yeah, Quest for Piss or Quest for Shit, so whatever you and Superman Returns was also a piece of garbage, and it was unnecessary.
Oh,
yeah,
I thought it was good. It was one, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do understand if people do love that movie. I mean,
Harry, sorry, one question regarding Superman Returns.
yeah,
Would you have rather Bryan Singer stayed to do X-Men 3, or were you happy that you did Superman Returns?
I'd infinitely rather he did X-Men: The Last Stand than Superman Returns. It was a huge mistake choosing to direct Superman because Bryan Singer, I don't think he knew Superman as much as X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Ratner didn't know what he was doing at all.
Not really. Kind. No, he took X-Men downhill for sure. But as for Man of Steel, Zack, I mean, this is my personal, not just my favorite Superman movie, but my favorite Zack Snyder movie. This is a epic Superman movie and an epic intro and start to the DCU itself. I mean, the opening on Krypton. I know people bitch about where it's too long, it's draggy. To that, I say bullshit. This opening is spectacular, and it needed to be as long as it was because in the original Superman we spent like 5 minutes on Krypton before Superman was sent to Earth and the planet blew up. Whereas here this actually develops the characters of his parents, Jor-El and Lara El, as well as we get to see the backstory of General Zod fully fleshed out. And yeah, it's an opening that's had. I will find him. Yeah, that's that's an iconic line for sure. And Henry Cavill. Sorry, Christopher Reeve. Henry Cavill is the definitive Superman for me. He's. I mean, he looks. He just. I mean, he's a different and unique kind of Superman. He's an alien, literally, and an outcast on Earth. Something that the Christopher Reeve movies are never explored with this character. And Amy Adams as Lois Lane, she's awesome. She's fully involved with the action and the story. Yeah. And
I'll give you this person in the cast for me anyway. So I heard.
Yeah, she's yeah, she's totally the standout of the cast, and her romance with Clark slash Superman, I actually believed it in this movie. I totally believed their chemistry, and Superman's mother play or adoptive mother played by Diane Lane. She's also awesome. They have a beautiful bond, not just in this movie, but in the entire DCU. And the moment where you can tell Superman is fully protective of her, the moment when he's beating the shit out of General Zod, saying, "You think you can threaten my mother?" That was awesome. And Michael Shannon as General Zod, he's one of the greatest and most and he's one of the greatest villains in any superhero movie ever. I mean, you see where he's coming from. His desire to keep Krypton going, even if it means committing literally a mass genocide on Earth.
I mean, it's kind of a, would you say?
Pardon?
Would you say that General Zod is an extremist?
Yeah, but he's a total extremist, like a terrorist. He believes Kryptonians should have Earth over humans. That's exactly how terrorists think. And his rivalry with Superman in the second half of the movie, once they meet, is compelling, and there's weight to it because Zod is the one who killed his biological father, Jor-El, the visuals in this movie are remarkable. This is the best looking Superman movie I've ever seen, and there are some beautiful iconic moments like
I'll give you that. Yeah, the visuals are good. With you there,
oh yeah, without a doubt. The flying scene is breathtaking and awe-inspiring, and this movie is, despite being 2 hours and 20 minutes, it's paced flawlessly. The first half is exactly what it needs to be. It's an engaging coming of age and an outcast story for Clark growing up and fitting in. And I love how the movie shows expresses his childhood through flashbacks and kind of like how
Harry, can I just mention, when he climbs out of the ocean, from the pegs, and there's that song that plays, I really like that song called Seasons.
Oh,
and I love the tune. Yeah, the dong.
Yeah, me too.
I thought that fit pretty well.
Yeah, me too. That was a kick-ass song. I love how the flashbacks are told similarly to Batman Begins. It works in that movie and it works in this movie perfectly. The second half of this movie is totally my favorite part. It's freaking epic. It has some of the best action sequences and action moments I have seen in a blockbuster in general. The entire last hour is literally one epic battle for Earth. It's Superman defending his adoptive planet and Zod attempting to resurrect his old planet, which is, it's not only epic but it's also engaging. Like from the epic battle in Smallville between Superman and the Kryptonians to the battle of Metropolis, and people commonly criticize Man of Steel by saying Superman just lets thousands of civilians die when Metropolis is being literally annihilated by Zod's shit. But I'm like, well, the movie never actually shows the civilians getting killed, so we can't just guess that.
I'll say this, Harry. It does. They do show them getting killed, like when the building's falling on them. But I agree with you that people shouldn't criticize because Superman is one guy.
Yeah.
Everyone. I mean, for fuck's sake, God, he's not focusing on the people who are there. I mean, even though, yes, he would have saved them if he could. he wouldn't intentionally leave them to die. I think that criticism is bullshit.
Exactly. It's total bullshit. So they're just they're just I have no idea where that they're just overreacting to that moment. And exactly, see, he's just one guy. He wouldn't be capable of saving literally an entire city. That's what I love about this movie. It shows that Superman has weakness. He's not just invincible, unlike Christopher Reeves. He has weaknesses and he can't save everybody. Like when he when he failed to save, Jonathan Kent from the tornado. That was compelling. And also and also Hans Zimmer's score is Hans Zimmer's score is amazing. The iconic theme, it dethrones even John Williams's theme for Superman. And but that's just for me. And the final and the climactic fight between Superman and Zod is one of the greatest freaking final battles I have ever seen in my life. I mean, and the moment when Superman is literally forced to kill Zod to save those civilians, this is the part where their people have bitched about the most, saying, "Where Superman doesn't kill." Well, to that I say pure bullshit. Superman didn't have a choice but to kill Zod.
Yeah.
Would you rather he had just let that innocent family die? I'd say it was better that Zod was killed in that scenario.
Yeah. It was a bit dark for Superman, but he had no choice. But it was quite. Yeah, it does feel a bit like they're trying to do what they did with the Dark Knight. I know a lot of. That is the impression I'll let you finish and I'll get on to my thoughts.
That was dark. I know, but the people who bitch about that scene need to calm down, because Superman didn't have a choice. He did what was right and saved the innocent. So overall, in conclusion, Man of Steel is one of is an extremely underrated and epic and a practically perfect start to what is one of my favorite movie franchises, and it's the quintessential Superman movie for me, the one I always watch the most. As for negatives, I have none. It's perfect. I give Man of Steel a perfect 10 out of 10 and a perfect 5 stars out of 5.
Oh, well, I hate to rain on your parade with my grenade. Agree with you more.
What?
I'm sorry, Harry. I'm so sorry. In the world, I'm so sorry. Oh, Man of Steel. To be fair, when I first saw the movie, I didn't love it. I thought, but ever since then, it's gone down in my opinion. I'm glad that you see things as a gigantic mess. I'm sorry, but I just think that it boils down to Zack Snyder. Really, I don't rate him as a director. A nice guy, in real life, and I know he's had personally, and to that I'm very sad. I mean, this was before that. I just think he's not the best storyteller. He's good with his cinematography and his visual effects, and to a certain extent the action, but I won't go too far there. He can make a movie look interesting. He's good at making dark movies in terms of the lighting. But I don't think he handled this very well. I'm the majority of people movie. I do think that I don't mind it being a more drawn out version than the original film. That's fair enough. If you want to go into the politics of Krypton, but for me, it did drag it. It dragged itself out for 25 minutes. 20 minutes. That is pushing it. I think it should have been at least no longer than 15 minutes. You know, extract about the politics, and they buy codex, and then happens. It was like politics, action, stop. Politics, action, stop, and then they send the baby out finally. You're thinking, fucking hell, is this film actually going to stop? My goodness me. Oh.
Did you think it was necessary to develop, the characters of Superman's parents and Zod?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree there. I just think they could have done it in a shorter amount of time. They didn't need 25 minutes to do it. Or if you're going to do it in 25 minutes, I've dragged it into it lost its momentum because they kept going from an action scene to a political scene, and then it's dramatic when Lara died. I will say that it was dramatic when they. Everything before that was just like you could just cut half of it out. Really, it's it's not necessary, personally, to me anyway. I think Henry Cavill is a bit wooden, to be honest. He's not like the worst actor ever. I've seen he's good, but as Superman, I never really got much charisma out of him. I mean, I think he's a bit better as Clark Kent than he is as Superman, but I still don't really. I've never really warmed to him as. So I'm sorry. I will say Amy Adams as Lois Lane is good. I do like her.
Agree.
Although, why the fuck they brought her onto that ship, I have no idea. There was no need for her to go on that ship. Like, General Zod would like this woman to accompany. Why?
Yeah, I was confused by that at first, but then I thought, I guess Zod wanted, her, a human to see, what he was planning. I guess.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's not really a good enough. This is the thing with Zack Snyder. He can't tell a story to save his life. I don't want to be harsh on the guy, but save his life. And I think the story is incomprehensibly told. I mean, there are certain sections in the beginning which are interesting. Like, I like the flashbacks, but I don't like the editing of the flashbacks. If you're going to do flashbacks, do them all together. I think was had the opening on Krypton, fair enough. Then had all the flashbacks from when he was younger to when he was older, and then have him on the boat when he's older, and then he's trying to get. I just think that going every so often we'll cut to a random flashback, and it's like, what the fuck? There's no sense. There's no reason for it. There's no dramatic reason to cut back to this flashback. It's just instantaneous. It's like they've just slotted it back in. Action where the bus goes underwater, which was a good flashback. And then there's a part when he's being bullied, and there's some scenes with him and his adopted father, which are good scenes, but they're just wrong place at the wrong time. This is the thing with Zack Snyder, and at the end, the structure of this movie is terrible. I'm sorry, but I just think that this should have been a restructuring. And the plot regarding the Codex, I couldn't give a fuck about it. Like, what is it? I don't care. Basically, Zod wants to end the world. That's it. I kind of lost any sense of what the plot was really about, other than Superman's origins in a retelling. I do think, I'm sorry to agree with the majority all the time, but I do think this movie's too dark. There's no charm in this film. They've sucked all the life out of it. It's creepy and depressing in places. There's no light relief. There's no humor. It's a lifeless film. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying that it's without its entertainment. There are some entertaining acts, but it's just so without life. And I find it a drag to sit through. It's too long. 23 minutes. That is too long. I mean, it's not as long as Superman Returns. I mean, which that was way too long, but this is still doing good. It's not the worst Superman movie. I mean,
Superman 4.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I think it's slightly better than 4. I'm not sure about 3, but it is definitely better than Superman Superman 4, but that ain't saying much. I think Hansen, I'll say that. There's often there's not really much to it, but I think it is good for what it is. I mean, I understand why they didn't use the theme because they were rebooting the series. So, but there's no real memorable theme. Too much. The CGI is good. I like the visual effects. The CGI is good. As well as the first half being a little bit poor. The second half, oh god, I like action sequences, but there has to be a limit. For me, it's not like Transformers where it's like all the time, but my goodness me, that final battle dragged on forever. It was exhausting to sit through. I mean, a lot of people have said this, and that Man of Steel was climaxing to sit through. The last two just straight up action. And after a while, you just go, can't we just fucking end it now?
I didn't want it to end. It was that epic to me.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it, Harry, but I did. I mean, and to be honest, a lot of the action is very samey. People buildings, and there's an explosion of dust. He's got a shovel and he's like flinging dirt across the screen, like flinging soil across the screen. That's kind of it's like Zack Snyder called his gardeners, and so why don't you just shove some dirt on the screen? I mean, dig. I mean, I'm sorry, but I didn't find it entertaining. There's not much else to say. Pretty good. The actors, the credit, other than Henry Cavill, I said Amy Shannon makes a good villain as Zod. Though you don't see much of him until like various parts, but I think he's good. His death is I will say, but it was a good moment. It was dramatic. Diane Lane is good as Superman's mother, Martha, I believe her name is.
Yeah, Martha Kent.
And Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. He's good, but he doesn't do anything. Really, he doesn't do anything. Who else? Obviously, Russell Crowe plays Jor-El. He's good. I found the scene when he's on the ship and she's trying to escape. I found that scene completely poor. Yeah, for me, Man of Steel, it's not a. It's pretty rubbish, to be honest. I'm sorry. It's not the worst Superman movie ever, but it is crap for me, and I can't watch it again without getting bored. For me, not a great start to this universe. So I'm sorry, Harry, but I'm going to have to rate Man of Steel 3
out
of 10.
Oh, that's okay.
Yes, I don't think it's a 0. It's certainly, but for me, not enough. And as I said earlier, a song that they used in the film Seasons. Actually, the bar scene was good. He sticks up for that woman, and then the guy's like, he gets sacked from his job. He's a bartender, and then he gets thrown out of his job, and then he wrecks the guy's van. But yeah, sorry. So we move on to Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Okay, so the imaginary microphone passes back to Harry.
Oh, thanks, Ollie. Well, I continue to be the biggest DC defender in the universe. Batman versus Superman doesn't deserve the phenomenal hate that it has received. I mean, people have called it... Yes, boo me all you want, but again, just like Man of Steel, I've never gotten the hate for this movie. I mean, people at the time called Batman versus Superman one of the worst superhero movies of all time. I'm like, it's not even close. Have you seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Have you seen
Fantastic? Oh yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. At least it has, unlike those movies' redeeming qualities to it. Yeah, and this movie was released exactly the same year as Marvel's Civil War, but I like it even better than Civil War. There, I said it. And
actually, around the same time as Civil War.
Yeah, yep, exactly, and yeah, and this movie just works well, incredibly well, as not just a continuation and a sequel to Man of Steel, but as as a movie that introduced Batman well, flawlessly into this franchise, and to get us jacked for Justice League. I mean, Ben Affleck. Christian Bale is still my personal favorite Bruce Wayne / Batman, but Ben Affleck is a close second, and he brings us so much to the table, and Batman actually has a compelling. He has a compelling storyline in this movie where he believes that well, Superman is responsible for the deaths of the thousands in Metropolis, and then he goes on a revenge quest, but he doesn't realize that he's misjudged Superman and is being a fucking asshole, and he went and the Martha scene after their climactic fight, that scene gets far more hate than it deserves. That is a beautiful and powerful moment for Batman's character for me, because it makes him realize, oh shit, I was just about to kill an innocent guy who just wanted to save his mother, and it takes him back to the moment when he wished he could have saved his own mother. So yeah, I 100% buy Batman's change of hearts towards Superman, and yeah, even though Batman and Superman could have met just a little more in this movie, they just meet like 3 times in the entire.
I think their fight as well could have been longer.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Maybe it could have been a little longer, but it was still the greatest part of the movie for me, and also yeah, and I feel ever so sorry for Henry Cavill's Superman in this movie. Throughout the entire film, he's doing nothing but good, nothing but to prove his innocence, and yet he is being blamed for not just the destruction of Metropolis, but the assassination of this terrorist in Africa when he was just rightfully saving Lois, and then he gets blamed for the destruction of the courtroom in which Lex Luthor set him up, and Batman hates him for the majority, well, at least until the end. I'm like, give this guy a break, and so Superman's and also the opening sequence to this movie is sensational, and it draws you in with Hans Zimmer's stunning score, and the flashback to when you see Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot, and then we actually see the Battle of Metropolis, the climax of Man of Steel from Batman's perspective. That is ever so interesting, and please don't hurt me, but I think Jesse Eisenberg I don't think he's that bad as Lex Luthor. I think he's decent as Lex Luthor. There, I said it. He may not. He may be a little over the top and wacky and cheesy, but that will make.
Hey, Jack.
Oh hey Jack.
Hello. There's no sound coming from Jack.
Hello. Oh, hey, Jack.
Jack? Can you hear us? No, we can't hear you.
Guys?
Oh, hey there, now we can.
Oh,
can you
hear
me?
Yeah. Can you hear us? Take that as a no. Going on. Jack, I don't know if you can hear us, but No, okay. Harry, if you just carry on for now, and then Jack will try and sort out Jack's.
Oh yes, sure. That's what makes him a unique and different that what makes him a different and enjoyable version of Lex Luthor for me. And I love how manipulative Lex Luthor is. How he's manipulating the Senator Lazy, and he's manipulating the public eye into Superman's image, and also Amy Adams as Lois Lane. She continues to be awesome and heavily involved in the action when she attempts to get the kryptonite spear to take down Doomsday in the climax, and also Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Jeremy Irons is arguably my personal favorite Alfred. I mean, Scar is Alfred. You can't go wrong with that. And he's the youngest actor ever to play Alfred, but it actually works here. I freaking adore whenever Batman and Superman mess up in this movie. I just got my nostalgia goggles on and geeked out when Batman attempted to hit Superman with the Batmobile, but then crashed, and Batman was like, "Tell me, do you bleed? You will." And the title fight between Batman and Superman, when we at last come to it, is it's magnificent. It is everything we've hoped for. I think it's ridiculous people calling this fight anticlimactic, because it isn't for me. I also find the climactic fight between I also forgot to mention Gal Gadot is introduced as Wonder Woman in this movie, and she would go on to be the lead in my favorites in this franchise. Spoiler alert for my thoughts on Wonder Woman, but she's freaking perfect as Wonder Woman, and she has showed her naysayers and haters that they misjudged her entirely. And I also found the final climactic fight between Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman and Doomsday to be highly enjoyable, even though Batman is absent from the fight, since he doesn't have godlike invincibility like Wonder Woman and Superman against Doomsday. But Superman's I know people always complain that they kill off Superman far too early, and they should have saved his death for like a Superman 3. But I don't mind it here, as it gave this movie an emotional ending, an emotional punch, and it encouraged Batman and Wonder Woman to team up to form the Justice League to honor Superman, and although my one criticism,
Harry, I mean, I'd just like to say, man's death. Yeah, I think the mainly it's kind of predictable, because we know he's going to come back to life in Justice League without Superman. So it kind of makes the whole thing. But
I
do respect your opinion.
Yeah, that's okay. Ollie, I do understand that. I guess it is a little predictable, since we know he's going to return in Justice League. It could have been, the setup for Justice League could have been done a different way, but it still didn't bother me. But so my only criticism with this and gripes with this movie is that it does feel a little, kind of like Iron Man 2, like a cinematic universe movie rather than its own movie. I mean, Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers were intent on, we got to set up Justice League. We've got to put hints at in the moment when Wonder Woman / Diana is literally watching clips of the future Justice League members. I'm like, that's just screaming Justice League rise at you. I'm like, this movie does get a little convoluted in the narrative. I'm like, just focus on Batman versus Superman. But that's
Harry. Can I...
Yeah. Pardon?
Did you see the extended cut?
The extended cuts, yep.
Do you prefer the theatrical cut?
I actually like the theatrical cuts better since that version is shorter and better paced, and the extended cut was unnecessarily rated R and 18.
Yeah, and it is 3 hours long.
Yeah, and that 3 hours is stretching the mark a little for me. Yeah, 2 hours and 22.5 hours for a Batman vs Superman is perfectly adequate for me. So, but that's just such a minor flaw because everything else in this movie is done perfectly, and another great job to Zack Snyder. This is again yet another awesome DCEU movie, and yeah, I know yeah, people may call me crazy, but yeah, this movie is again like Man of Steel, extraordinarily underrated. I do know people who do love it and do defend it, just like me. Like great Grace Randolph, she adored it. She went as far as putting it in her top 10 best movies of 2016. And Josh Drake, a slash future filmmaker, he also called it his favorite movie of 2016, literally. So it goes to show there are some that love it against and defend it.
Actually, he's a big DC fan and he's a big Batman fan. He thinks it's awesome, and he actually prefers, which is, fair enough. I mean, not that much. You are going to do more, so yeah, I understand. Obviously, it has its share of fans.
Yeah, totally. Totally, and it sure does has its fans who defend it from the backlash. Even if I can see, so overall, Batman versus Superman once again awesome. I give Batman versus Superman a 9 out of 10 and 4.5 stars out of 5.
Well, I never. Only joking. As for me, whether Jack will come to me issues with his Wi-Fi, so if he comes in, he comes in. We'll see. Regarding Batman vs Superman, I think it's a little bit better. Still, just slight improvement, but it still isn't great. This unsatisfying. The way that you have two of the most ever, not just in DC, but and the build-up, and then the actual was fucking quick, short-lived. Build up to this, you should have this good conflict with the two of them, and it never. Civil War did the same thing, but it did it a lot better, in my opinion. It was so shoddy. I don't think the movie's awful. I think it's okay. I mean, there are some good things in it, like the action sequences are better than Man of Steel. And I do like Ben. He is pretty good, but for me, the movie is long and baggy, and I couldn't care less. I'm not a DLS, and just the first half of the movie is a fucking drag. Like, there's all this political build-up, and everybody, I'm not interested. The film took too long to it already took off for me until halfway in.
And yeah, I will give you that. They could have had Superman and Batman meet a little sooner than they did.
Yeah, it just... The film was 25 minutes. I'm sorry. That was too long. And the fact that it got lordy lord. I mean, I'm okay with a lot of films. Sorry?
Extended cut was unnecessary for me.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Lord, but there reasons as to cuts. Certain extended Lord of the Rings, like the Middle Earth films, all those extended cuts, because I love Middle Earth, and they actually do add to the best extended editions that you'll see. But everything else just seems back in there just for just to get more cash, but all with instead. When really, like, I couldn't give a shit. And Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, he's fucking. Oh my god!
What?
I'm sorry, but I think I like Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, but the most miscast actor has to be that. I mean, it was just such a weird performance. I know he's young and he's trying something different with the role, and he's trying to make it. And it's like showing how Lex Luthor really became Lex Luthor, but still, it's just weird. Like like all these little weird laughter things he does, and the scene when he has with Lois, it's just so. I mean, good on him for getting the part, but I think it was a complete miscast. I'm sorry. I just did. Regarding Henry Cavill, he's the same as he is still. There's not. And regarding Superman's death, as I said, it's completely predictable. There's no point even doing it because you know that he's going to be in Justice League. You know that they're going to bring him back to life. So why even bother? That's that. I mean, they are entertaining when they're there, and it's nice to introduce Wonder Woman. Although when this film came out, I did not understand the hype for her. Like they said, "Oh wow, Gal Gadot's amazing, so good, she's brilliant." Like it's like, well, yeah, but she's in the film for about 10, if that. She doesn't have much screen time, and when she's there, I mean, wow, she's a babe. She is a beautiful woman. She's an actress. She was a model, but she doesn't make an impression until her own film. I mean, I don't mind that, but I don't get. Yeah, and I think the whole Doom is completely unnecessary. Storytelling. Zack tell a story to save his life. I'm sorry. He just can't. It's still a hill of beans, as the Americans say. It just doesn't. In my opinion, I truly believe this is what happened. He's not bad as a visual, but he can't tell a story. I mean, this story is sloppily told. I'm confused. I don't know what the fuck is going on half the time. And for most of the movie, I was bored to crap. Film. I mean, there are some decent performances, yeah, and decent action scenes. It's a fun movie at best, but it's too long and it's just boring. And I mean, Jeremy Irons is good as Alfred. He's good. But really, it just made me want to. Really, I was like, can we just watch the Justice League film? Because I don't give a shit about this. And at least Justice League had the good sense to cut itself down to 2 hours because it thing to do. It didn't need to be any longer. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Batman vs Superman for a while, so I'm going by memory. I do like Ben Affleck, and I do think there are some good moments, and there are some nice emotional moments. The actual fight between Batman and Superman for me was just crap. I wanted it to be much longer. It was too short. It felt like it wasn't like I hate to compare it, but it wasn't like Civil War with Cap and Iron Man, where they actually had a couple of fights before in the team versus team. Very end, they had that emotional climax. This was like the same name as like the Martha name drop was like, oh, that's it, and now it's like, oh, like see, there's no build up. They don't interact enough with each other. I mean, I will say this: I do like the opening of the movie, the opening of the film. Sorry, the opening scene showing the end of Man of Steel. I thought was pretty good. Definitely, that was continuation after that. Also, I feel like a sequel to Man of Steel as well. But I can't deny that this is a very boring film to watch. There's not enough conflict. Zack Snyder's direction, I think, is just rubbish. Differences, decent performances, nice. It really isn't enough to save this film. I'm gonna give us 10. It's okay. It's just okay. Like I would, because I think it should have been made by someone else. And I'm sorry, but hey ho. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, so more generous to this one than Man of Steel. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's a bit better than Man of Steel. I do think more entertaining than that, but that ain't saying much. So let's move on to Squad. So Harry, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. I can't remember what you said in your review. So with Suicide Squad.
Well, all right. So Suicide Squad was the second. This is a significant turning point in the DCU, as it's the first not to be directed by Zack Snyder, but by David Ayer for a change.
Fuck,
I know. And in the words of David Ayer at the premiere, "Fuck Marvel." That's literally what he said, which caused a lot of controversy. But I was with him at the time. I couldn't get why the MCU was getting just shitloads of praise and the DCU was getting a ton of hate. And also, Suicide Squad. I rate this movie on par, if not slightly better than Batman versus Superman. It isn't necessarily a perfect, but it's still a kick-ass and extremely underrated and imaginative superhero movie that brings plenty new to the table for me. Let's, for starters, what makes this movie interesting for me is that it's a superhero movie about super villains rather than heroes. The villains are actually the protagonists, and you have to root for them and care about them, which I did. I fell in love with every single one of these characters, and they're all introduced in such a badass way, and they all have such awesome backstories, like Harley Quinn with the Joker, Deadshot with his daughter, and the fiery guy with his family. The first half in the prisoner develops every single one of them in a top-notch way, and the second half just has them in action and kicking ass, and Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She gives one of the greatest the greatest performances in any superhero movie as Harley Quinn. She nails it here. She was robbed of an Oscar for this performance, and also Amanda Waller. She's outstanding. Viola Davis is outstanding as Amanda Waller, the super tough woman who keeps these guys under control. And I don't get the hate for Jared Leto's Joker. I mean, he's solid. He's not a patch on Heath Ledger, but Heath Ledger, let's face it, can never be bested. And Jared Leto, it makes makes the Joker his own, and his flashbacks with Harley Quinn are sure they were cut down. I do wish they could have done more with the Joker, but they're still perfect for me. Yeah, they're still iconic for me for what we got, and Will Smith as Deadshot. He's fabulous. His bond with his daughter is beautiful, and he's kind of like the leader of the team, and keeps these guys in check, and also the makeup and prosthetics on these guys are just stellar. I know people bitched about this movie getting nominated for Academy Award for Best Makeup, but it well and truly deserved it, especially on Killer Croc. And although and also I think yeah, I think the movie I think the movie balances well light and dark aspects perfectly. It's fun and hip as well as mature and original in its storytelling, and as like and the soundtrack is a freaking blast, especially with the inclusion of the Queen song in the trailer. And although yeah, and although my my one nitpick with this movie, as much as I love it, would be making Enchantress the villain was a dumb idea. She should have just been a member of the team. Just have the Joker be the main antagonist. That would have worked better because there's an actual bond between him and Harley. So that would have been compelling if Harley would have had to have go against her own lover. That I'm just saying. But other than that, this movie is just it's fun, it's a blast, and it wasn't afraid to be different and stand out from other superhero movies. That I I strongly defended it at the time, and still do. And the moment when Harley is in the elevator and she defeats one of the Enchantress's goons, and she walks out saying, "Hi guys, that was hilarious." It's moments like that that make this movie awesome. And I'd give Suicide Squad, just like Batman versus Superman, a 9 out of 10 and 4.5 stars out of 5.
Well, as for me, Suicide Squad, I've seen this film since it came out, so I'll try my best to remember. I never actually got. I will review it at some point because it's the only DC
that you haven't reviewed yet.
Yeah, I don't know why. My dad's got the DVD, so I'll do that sometime. But anyway, going from memory, I think Suicide Squad was give it a pass. It was definitely more fun and entertaining than the previous two DC movies. That's for sure. I do agree with you about the villain Enchantress. Making her the villain probably a bit of a dumb idea. Like, see, there's not much threatening about her, and her story is it's kind of weird, like very weird character. Although don't get me wrong, Cara Delevingne's hot. She's smoking.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
But and I'm sure she's a lovely girl, and especially obviously in Valeria. But woo. But that aside, the character's just nothing really, and I just think that the film, obviously the film suffered from its rewrites and reshoots, and obviously David Ayer has said if he had the chance, he'd go back things, and I think, well, yeah, at least he's honest about it. I think they spent too long in the city that they have to go to. I just think some of the characters aren't particularly interesting. I do think Croc is cool, and Harley Quinn is easily the best. Margot Robbie is hot and cool. She creates the character. Honestly, she makes it so real.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, she's brilliantly done, and I hope that she gets to be in a Batman movie one day with somebody as the Joker. That would be brilliant. And regarding Jared Leto as the Joker, I mean, people should stop giving him so much crap. I mean, yeah, just because Heath Ledger Knight, don't give this guy a bad time. I mean, he didn't have much to do. He was underused. He didn't have enough screen time. Watch the extended cut, which had of scenes, only a few of which included the Joker. He said that it's not really worth it. Yeah, it's a shame that he didn't get more to do, but he played the role okay. He played the role all right, and serviceable. But he should have been the main villain. he should have been the main villain. And
I agree.
Oh well. Yeah. I mean, the movie's a fun action movie, but that's really all it is. There's nothing else to it. I like the woman that kind of brings the team together. She's good.
Amanda Waller.
She's good. But for me, there's not much else that really stands out about this film. It's nothing groundbreaking. I certainly had fun with it, but it's not a film I would rush back to. Well, one of the slightly stronger DC films. I'd rank it third out of the 5 movies. I mean, it is the third one, so I'd rank it third. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it, really. I think David Ayer's direction is pretty decent. So I'm going to score 6 out of 10. But it did give us Margaret Harley Quinn, so for that I will be forever grateful. Now we move on to what is easily the best film of this series so far. Wonder Woman. Oh. So, Harry, this is going to be a good one for you. Please give us your thoughts on Wonder Woman.
Well, I've been waiting for this one. Well, I initially stated that Avatar and Titanic were my 2 favorite movies of all time. Well, now they've officially been dethroned. Wonder Woman. The more I watch this movie, the more I absolutely love it. Wonder Woman is now my favorite movie of all time, period. And it is by far the best DCEU movie. I couldn't agree with you more on that. So this movie, it's nobody had. I knew that this movie would be awesome. Everybody had a staggeringly low expectations because they were underwhelmed by Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad. But I'm like, come on, guys, give it a chance. And I couldn't have been more right, because this was the first DCU movie to receive critical acclaim from critics and fans, and to actually get raved about. I'm like, I was just leaping with joy when I heard that news. Finally, a DC movie is loved instead of hated.
About freaking time.
About freaking time, exactly. And I think Patty Jenkins, she's now topped and surpassed James Cameron as my favorite movie director. I mean, as much as I love that Zack Snyder, screw Zack Snyder, just snack him, just let Patty Jenkins hire DCU, because she knows Wonder Woman inside out, and she just honored this character with this movie. I mean, and she shows that that woman can be a legitimate force to be reckoned with in Hollywood, and Gal Gadot, she gives honestly the greatest performance I have ever seen. She was robbed of an Oscar. This entire movie was robbed at the Academy Awards. I did an entire rant video about Wonder Woman being snubbed. I was that upset. If you could nominate Suicide Squad, you can certainly nominate Wonder Woman for something. And Diana / Wonder Woman, she's my favorite movie protagonist, since she isn't just the biggest badass ever. She's also a naive and innocent character going in. She's growing up. She's coming of age. She's going into the world, and Gal,
a world doesn't understand as well.
She doesn't understand our world, exactly. She's leaving. Exactly, and she learns and grows. She has such an epic character arc in this movie, and when we get to see every stage of her life, from when she's a girl to a fully grown woman, and the Themyscira scenes in the first act are glorious, and I think the relationship between Diana and her mother, played by Hippolyta, played by Colleen Nielsen, is compelling, and also the relationship with her aunt Anatope, played by Robin Wright. It's Anatope inspires Diana to fight and be true to herself and defend the world from Ares, whereas whereas Hippolyta warns her at the same time to be cautious of humanity, which and you can see where both of them are coming from in raising her. And also Chris Pine, he's terrific as Steve Trevor, and this is a superhero movie that actually it does gender equality perfectly. You know, women and men can love this movie. It gives both genders the right amount of awesome moments, and their romance is this is my favorite romance in any movie. Honestly, I have never cried at a romance so much before. It was that well it was
actually
that...
Harry. Yeah, I have to say, when I first saw this film in the cinema, when they got together and had the romance, I was a bit like, oh god, here we go, usual cliche. But then towards the end, when obviously Steve Trevor sacrifices himself, it means a lot more, and you really actually do believe that she fell for him, and it's really actually very powerful. And I was very surprised, though. I thought, oh wow, they're taking this seriously. They really are in love. I thought, well, they just have a bit of, yeah.
I know, right? So they actually take this romance seriously. It avoids the cliches. And yeah, I actually you truly buy that they are in love as Steve. He helps her by the end see the good in humanity, and he changed her life for the better. And his sacrifice, my God, saddest movie moment of 2017 by far. I can tell you that. I bet nobody expected to actually cry in Wonder Woman, but everybody did. And
come on, what about Caesar? Planet of the Apes. Caesar died.
Caesar dies. Oh yeah, that's also on my list of sad moments for 2017. Totally, and also I think I also adore the side characters in this movie. I adored spending time with them, like Steve Trevor's secretary, the lazy from London. She was hilarious. And the moment when she's like, I'm his secretary, I do whatever he tells me to do. And she's like, where I'm from, that's called slavery. And she goes, I love her. That was hilarious. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And also I adore I warmed up to Steve's buddies who go on the mission to World War One to fight Ares with her. They brought us so much light relief and charm to this movie, and the people have consistently reacted negatively to the villains in this movie, calling them the weakest characters. But I strongly disagree. I am a big fan of General Ludendorff and Dr. Poison. I think they provided a legitimate threat throughout. When Ludendorff takes that thing that makes him invincible, his fight with Wonder Woman is gripping, all right. And Dr. Poison, she's ever so interesting and
so poisonous
and so poisonous, exactly, and creepy at the same time, and even she plays an important role in the climax, which I'll get to. But now we come to the lead antagonist, Ares, who originally thought to be Ludendorff, but turns out to be Remus Lupin. Oh, sorry, David Thewlis, who plays Sir Patrick. I didn't see this twist coming. This twist was perfectly executed. They build up to Ares, her confrontation throughout the entire movie. So when we finally get to see them go out at the end, it's gripping drama how Ares is attempting to manipulate Diana to join him. He's trying to make her see, the evil in humanity and make her see humanity from his side, and she is conflicted, but she remembers through Steve's powerful sacrifice that there is still good in humanity, and what Ares is saying about them is bullshit, and they do deserve to save. So the villains in this movie, just like the other characters, are are flawless for me, and this honestly has the sorry Man of Steel, but Wonder Woman's action scenes are the greatest action scenes in the DCEU, easily. Like
oh yeah,
like the like the well eh, like the tremendous battle scene on Themyscira between the Amazons and the Germans. That action scene was vital, as it lets us know it lets us know the stakes of this movie. It inspires Diana to actually go out and destroy Ares and end the war, since the war has literally come to her island, and also the moment when Diana steps onto no man's land, that is a iconic, classic moment.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it's wow, it's uh, it's pure awesomeness. I just wanted to stand up on that battlefield with her. I'd be her personal shield. I'd take all the bullets for her. And in the action scenes, we don't just see Diana kick.
oh yeah, Harry. Sorry, just to add to that no man's land point. Then when she goes into the buildings, and then the theme starts playing, the da-na-na-na.
Oh yeah, the Wonder Woman theme, and she's annihilating the Germans. I was like, awesome.
Good.
Yeah, and they don't just show her being a badass and kicking and whooping a major ass. They also show her that she's vulnerable in the action, and she can get injured, which adds some tension whenever she does step onto the battlefield, and also and also, yeah, like you said, Hans Zimmer's theme for Wonder Woman is iconic, and his best piece of music he's ever composed for this franchise. And also the fight people have constantly been bashing the final climactic battle between Diana and Ares, but I think this climax is electrifying.
I agree.
The hate is ridiculous. It's astonishing when it's astonishing seeing Diana and Ares finally go out after all the build up. So yeah, I'm glad we both defend this. And by the end of this movie, I was crying tears of joy. I couldn't believe how perfect it was. This movie, I knew this movie would be awesome, but I never expected to love it as much as I did. And this is I have absolutely no negatives and no nitpicks, no flaws with this movie. It is full on perfect, and it lives up to its name. It's wonderful. It's superior to the entire MCU. The MCU has never made anything like Wonder Woman. Sorry, Marvel fans, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
This movie showed the DCU haters wrong. It truly did. It showed that the DCU can have great movies when they're done right, and this is the case. I shall totally give Wonder Woman a freaking perfect 10 out of 10 and a golden 5 stars out of 5.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh, Wonder Woman. As for me, I mean, when I saw the trailer for Wonder Woman, I thought, okay, looks cool, interested in it, because I'd been underwhelmed by the previous 3 films. Yeah, I'm not really. I don't care. I'm not fussed. I don't care about DC anymore. But I was absolutely fucking blown away. Wonder Woman is a fantastic film, and it is easily the best of this series so far.
Oh, totally.
Wow. I was stunned at how good this film was. I couldn't believe it. I was completely taken aback when I went to see the film. My friends, they liked it very much. But
yeah, I was relieved you gave it a rave review at the time.
Yes, oh, thank you. Yeah, I was very amazed. I didn't expect to rate it a 10 out of 10. I thought I might like it more than the other ones, but I didn't think I'd love it as like as much as I did. But it really is fantastic. Favorite superhero movie, and it's one of his favorite movies too. So it's got a lot of love, and I think it really was important. Patty Jenkins saved the DC cinematic universe. I was about to kind of give up with it, but she restored my faith in it. So thank you, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah,
The film is just.
She should be the director for this franchise and not Zack Snyder.
Oh yeah, I mean the film is remarkable. It really is. You know, the story is beautifully told. I love the character of Diana, and as you said, her character arc is really compelling. Young, naive girl who doesn't understand the real world. She's been living in this bubble literally for all of her life, and
exactly.
Yeah, when the war comes to her doorstep, she truly believes that Ares has caused all of that. Throughout the film, you're seeing Steve Trevor trying to snap her out of it, and trying to help her change, but she obviously can't. And their relationship is very good. I was very amazed at how much I cared for them. Like there's that conversation where they're talking about sex, which is kind of cringy, and then you think, oh god, why are they doing this? But then afterwards they grow closer and they start to fall in love, and it's actually rather good because of obviously the way it all ends. And like he talks about war, like there's this whole theme of war compared to his world compared to hers. Like her idea of war is much different to his idea of war, and the way that people in the real world deal with war is very different to how the Amazonians do in in Diana's world. So it's very interesting to see how she grows to understand the real world. At a cost, obviously, she loses Steve Trevor, and that's really sad. His sacrifice is very powerful, I must say. I was very surprised at how they handled that. And she, the moment when he does die, and then she explodes with emotion. Oh, God, excuse me. That was very good. I nearly teared up, actually. I thought, wow, this is really powerful. And the climax, I say, fuck the haters. The climax is amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah, emotionally powerful, visually spectacular, great action choreography. It's an amalgamation of all of that, and I think on an emotional level, it's superb. It's really superb. The film is very long. It's 2 hours 20 minutes, but I think it's a good length. I don't think it runs too long. It is quite long, but it moves very well. I think it keeps itself moving. It's much better paced than the other films. My God, I appreciated that, and I think Gal Gadot is made for the part. Not only is she a fucking babe, she's hot. She's really. She is so good. She looks great in that outfit. But she plays the part really well with a lot of emotion, and I think that what she brings to it is great, and the sense of naivety that she has is great. And obviously, when she goes to the trenches with Steve Trevor and sees the victims dying, she generally wants to help them. She's a very caring person as well. That's what I like about her. She's not this like egotistical narcissist like all those other characters like Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark and all of those people. She's somebody who really cares very deeply about people, and you know, she will do everything she can to prevent war. She's very patriotic in that sense. And the scene when she strides across no man's land and she's dodging the bullets, that is an incredible scene. And then it turns into this huge action scene when she's like kicking the Germans' asses, and then they play the Wonder Woman theme. That is brilliant. And Hans Zimmer's Wonder Woman theme is superb. It really is. The music overall is pretty good, but that theme is great. The only thing I would say about Wonder Woman is that the villains could have had a bit more to do, but I don't think they're bad. They're not too bad. They just they don't get very much to do. I think Danny Houston's German accent is a bit off, but that's just a minor thing. Other than that, the performances are great. I think Chris Pine really throws himself into this part as Steve Trevor. I think that there are a lot of times when you can see that he loves her, but he doesn't know what to make of her at times. Like she's very, she perplexes him in many ways, and he doesn't quite know how to, say things to her because of, well, she doesn't understand a lot of things, and he's trying to help her, but obviously it doesn't. There's only so much you can do. All the side characters.
He's blown away by her courage.
Yes, he is, and the people love her as well. Well, after she saves them. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Also, the side characters I like Charlie. He's got some kind of PTSD by the looks of it, and he's quite an interesting guy. And then there's is it Chief? I think his name is Chief. And then there's the other guy who's like the actor, but I can't actually. Yeah, I mean they're all good characters. They contribute a lot in the climax, and I think there's Ares or Sir Patrick. He's good in his part, and yeah, I didn't see the twist coming as well. I probably should have done, but I didn't pick up on it.
One of the few movie twists that I never saw coming.
Yeah, and that climax, as I said, was brilliant, and he's very good, and yeah, I think also the production design is brilliant. Like the look of, especially in the first act of the movie, when we see the Amazonian island, and we see Diana grow up, and when she's training, there's stuff there. That's really, really interesting as well. I like also that the fact that it is that, but it's like in a way, it's kind of like mythology mixed with like a war epic in the sense like there's a war going on, like, but there's also two wars in a sense. It's not just the war with the Germans and the Nazis. There's also Diana's inner war. Like she's struggling to comprehend what's going on, and that thematically, that's brilliant. The fact that seeing Diana go through an internal war, she doesn't know what's going on. She just wants to do the right thing and stop the war, but she can't because she doesn't understand what she's going through. I think that's beautifully written. The story is incredible. It's beautifully concocted, and it makes for some great and powerful drama. This is not just a superhero movie. This is something so much more. It is definitely one of the best superhero films ever made. And
it is the best superhero movie ever made for me.
Yeah. For me, it's not my favorite superhero film, but I still really love it. It'd be in my top 10. And I think it's one of the best films of last year. It really is. Still Planet of the Apes is my favorite, but Wonder Woman is a classic film, an absolute classic. I've got it in my collection. I will always. It's the only DC film of this series that I have in my collection.
Why?
Yeah, and it's it's pretty much perfect. Other than I wish the villains were done a little bit better, but that's nothing. That's not a major complaint. Rate Wonder Woman a perfect 10 out of 10.
Hooray!
Yeah,
Finally
a positive review from me. But yeah. Now we move on to, at the moment, what is the most recent film in this series, Justice League. Come together right now over me. I love that song. The way they used it in the trailer was brilliant.
Me too. That was classic. Congrats, DC. You have in 2017, you wiped the floor with Marvel. You now have not one, but two great movies in 2017. Justice League is an incredible superhero team-up movie, the greatest ever made. It's better than the Avengers.
It's the greatest show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, from The Greatest Showman. Oh yeah, and this is actually my second favorite DCU movie. Don't get me wrong, Wonder Woman's still the superior film, simply because that movie has more emotion and heart to it. But Justice League, it's just simply, it's pure fun, and it's exact. It does. I mean, it's if you're a DC fan, then this movie's a DC extravaganza for you. It's like heaven, and I and also I think that's the haters of this movie. I mean, I do get it if you hate this movie, because it is the follow up to Wonder Woman, which surprised the hell out of everybody, which raised everybody's expectations for Justice League. But once they saw Zack Snyder was returning, then they weren't so, but they put their face in their hands again. They weren't so keen. But I have to say, Zack Snyder, you showed us what you got.
I think he definitely improved with this film.
Totally, he greatly improved. He actually took notes of the criticisms from the fans, and he did his best. And I know Josh Whedon took over to do reshoots for this movie, so you have both directors have left their mark. Like, the climax of this movie was originally going to be black when Zack Snyder shot it, but when Josh Whedon shot it, it was changed to red. And so you can totally see that. And Josh Whedon brought, the much needed light relief humor to the table. So both directors worked perfectly off each other. And Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is still my favorite parts of this movie, and the stuff on Themyscira with seeing the Amazons again. Since Wonder Woman's my favorite DCU movie, the parts with her were my favorites of this movie, and also just not only do we have Ben Affleck spectacularly returning, and his relationship with Diana is fully explored in this movie, but also we have the new the new DC heroes, which we have never seen in a movie prior until now. We have Aquaman, we have the Flash and Cyborg. That was what I was curious about this movie, and they're all they're all iconic, they're all classic, and they couldn't have been better cast. Jason Momoa's Aquaman is my favorite, particularly, and a spoiler alert, Aquaman is my third most anticipated movie of 2018. His solo movie I'm anticipating more than Avengers Infinity War and Black Panther.
It's good.
Yep, it has every right to be. And we get a glimpse of his relationship with Amber Heard's character in his Aqua world, and also the Flash has an emotional storyline since his father is in jail, and the Flash, he's very much the Peter Parker / Spider-Man of the Justice League. How he's so witty and is just blown away by everything, and as well, and also the Cyborg may be my least favorite of the team, but he's still awesome, and his tech does serve great purposes in the action, and people the main criticism fans have with this movie is that they call Steppenwolf a weak villain. I beg to differ. Steppenwolf is awesome. He's amazing. He's like the Loki of Justice League, but for me, he provides an extreme menace and intimidation, and I love how it took so much to actually beat him. Like my criticism with Ultron in Age of Ultron was that he was a sucky villain. He was pathetic. He was defeated far too easily. Whereas Steppenwolf is actually a challenge. I mean, only Diana and Aquaman and Superman can take this guy on because they have the godlike powers. And also I think the stuff with Superman in this movie is the best it's ever been in the DCU. Yes, Superman's return was handled spectacularly, and when they resurrect him, he has a harder time recalling who he is, and I also think the moment when Martha and Lois, they're still grieving over Clark when they're supporting each other. That's a beautiful moment because Martha lost a son and Lois lost her lover. And when he returns to them in the cornfield, that's beautiful. Zack Snyder, you knocks it out of the park. And yep, I had a freaking blast and baller with the climax of this movie when the Justice League are evacuating the civilians from that city, and Superman joins the fight, and he freezes Steppenwolf, Zack, and then Diana just splits it into literally a million pieces, and also the end credit sequence when Superman and the Flash have their own race. That was awesome. Yeah, there's plenty of charm to this movie. It's I fell in love with this team, and I would love, I mean love to see an entire trilogy with the Justice League. Just bring on Justice League 2 and 3. Yes, as for this overall, I like Justice League and Wonder Woman. In terms of superhero movies of 2017, I like Justice League and Wonder Woman better than Logan. I like them better than the entire MCU. And Justice League, I like Wonder Woman. I have no negatives with it. It's a perfect. It's a triumphal conclusion to Phase 1 of the DCU, and roll on Phase 2 with Aquaman this year. I'd give Justice League a 10 out of 10 and 5 stars out of 5.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not quite with you on this one, Harry. But, I don't. I do like Justice League. I think Justice League is a pretty decent film. It was fun. It was entertaining. I certainly had fun watching it, but it wasn't. I didn't get that sense of satisfaction of the superheroes coming together like they did in Avengers Assemble, which is a shame. I also think the villain's a little bit Steppenwolf. He's just not much of a character, really. He's just a guy who wants to destroy the world. Plus, with the whole cube things, it's just too similar to Avengers. They could do their own thing, be a lot better. So I think the new characters are great, like Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg. They're all cool characters. It was particularly interesting. Sorry?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of good things in here, and Zack Snyder is definitely a filmmaker. The story is well told, well, it's better told. I still don't understand why Superman is evil when he comes back to life, and then he looks at Batman and then turns good again. It's like, what?
I guess it took a time for his memories to return.
Yeah, it just seemed a bit fighting them all, and I don't know. I do think Gal Gadot is great, as well as Wonder Woman as Diana. Ben Affleck is good as Batman. I'm glad the movie was 2 hours long, and it knew when it was long enough. And
yeah,
also I'm aware that
3 hours would have been pushing it. Agreed.
And I'm aware that obviously Zack Snyder had to drop out of the project, and then Joss Whedon took over. So I think what Joss Whedon did in post was pretty good, and the film looks good overall. entertaining film. I don't know if I'd watch it again, but for the DC fans, I think it's a fun time. It may not be quite as satisfying as they hope, but hopefully there's enough to enjoy. So I'm going to close off by rating Justice League a 7 out of 10.
Fair score.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, folks. That's our reflection of the DC cinematic universe so far. So, yeah, Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and League. So, thank you guys all for watching. Is there anything you want to say, Harry, before we close?
The DCU is better than the MCU. There, I said it.
Well, fair enough. I want to thank Harry for coming on, and I want to wish you guys all. Yeah, it was
great evening.
Fun. Well, thank you guys for watching and listening. I'm Ollie. This is Harry.